We are back here with legendary wide receiver, the great 184 Detroit Lions, Herman Moore. But before we talk about the latest Detroit Lions news and rumors, I got a favor to ask you all. If you can smash that like button, that would be fantastic. If we get to 100 likes, my wife won't smack me in the face. Also, if you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel, that'd be fantastic. Because if you're watching, you're generally a Lions fan, you might as well subscribe. Herm, how you doing today?
Am I doing well? I am enjoying life, and I am trying to get over this sinus a little bit. The weather's been kind of up and down here in Michigan, but nonetheless, it does not keep me from talking Detroit Lions football.
Yeah, definitely. March right now, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. It screws with all of us. End of April, great time. You got the NFL draft, but more importantly, you got the sun and heat. But when we talk about Lions football, a ton of rumors and speculations flying around. Players are getting released and players getting placed on the trade block because of finances and other reasons. And one of the players that's been placed on the trade block is my favorite player in the NFL, Derrick Henry, running back from the Tennessee Titans. He's been placed on the trade block, and one of the destinations is the Detroit Lions. What is your thoughts on Derrick Henry, and should the Lions pursue him to add him to this roster?
Well, a superstar player like Derrick Henry is going to really draw some attention. He's going to draw a lot of suitors in the NFL. The Lions wouldn't be the only team that would be competing for him if that were to come to fruition. I think if you look at the Lions, they have still work out their backfield, which is DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, and what to do there if they're going to leave or lose one of those players. Then Derrick Henry becomes maybe a player you take a look at. But depending on what he's going to want, because of the fact he's going to be a competitive player that teams are going to look for in the free agent market, he could potentially drive a number that could cause the Lions to kind of be out of it just because of his number alone. So I don't know necessarily where he's going to fall right now until the Lions figure out what they're going to do with their backfield. But would he be able to help any team that he goes to? Absolutely. Production that he's had, he is an older player, but he still has a lot of production left in him, in my opinion. And as long as he's healthy, he's going to be a big factor for a team having an opportunity for not only a division title, but also looking at a conference championship.
I absolutely love Derrick Henry, but I am agreeing with you. I don't think Detroit's really the right fit for him. For his age, he probably wants to go to a team closer for a Super Bowl. Buffalo Bills, a situation like that. I think we're more of, figure out, like you're saying, with Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift, and maybe a guy in the NFL draft. So I concur with you on there. Now, a lot of fans, and I've seen articles on this, saying, should the Detroit Lions trade away DeAndre Swift? Our running back, maybe your favorite player on this football team. He's dynamic. You love him. I love him too. What do you think of the idea of potentially trading away DeAndre Swift?
That's one I would really be cautious of. If you're going to trade away a player like this, it's not just about looking at how he fits from a production. I think he gives you just such a great dual threat out of the backfield, both running the football and pass catching. But also, he gives you balance in the fact that you look at the way the Lions have really been able to sew in how to mix him and Jamal Williams, and along with their growing roster of pass catchers that are capable of putting up points and also making big plays. So there's a lot of talent. I don't think you want to thin that out necessarily, and I don't think you want to mess with the chemistry too much. Now, DeAndre Swift's got to be able to show them that if they make a long-term commitment to him, that he's going to be able to give them, 17 games, at least 15 to 17 games of health over a period of years, not just here and there. So I don't know what that's going to mean, but he is one of my favorite players. He's one of those that, when you look at him, I'd hate to see him go to another team, and especially a team that's in a division. He could become that piece that solves their puzzle, and I just wouldn't want to see that happen.
Yeah, I love Swift. I don't think you're honestly going to get a lot for him if you trade for him, because he's on his final year of his rookie deal, as well as the injury history. So is it worth it? I don't think so. You might as well just keep him if you're trying to win the NFC North. like you said, he's a dynamic player. Anytime he gets the football in his hands, he can go all the way. So I'm with you. Just go ahead and keep him. I did think it'd be a terrible idea to trade him away when you're trying to win the division here. Another player that people say should the Lions trade away is another young player. That's cornerback Jeffrey Okudah with our Detroit Lions. Lions are aggressively, what we've heard is, looking in free agency to go ahead and get a cornerback, go in the draft, probably get another cornerback. So should the Detroit Lions to look and trade away Jeffrey Okudah?
That's something that potentially they could do, but I think they will open themselves up to giving away the development and really the time and everything they've poured into getting Jeff Okudah ready and getting him beyond the injury stage and getting him to play as a confident cornerback back. If you let him go, and especially if you're not necessarily getting anything of tremendous ready to go value, you're potentially trading a starting cornerback that you have really built some time into, you've really built some development into, and then you give it to another team. I don't know if you're going to get the return for him if you do that, versus right now just keeping on holding on to your pieces until you absolutely have to let them go, and until you absolutely have to be forced into making a decision that is one that you can't mortgage the team for. I don't think they're there, so I'd be careful with tampering with too much. But if they may know something we don't know with some of these players, whether it's with Jeff Okudah or whether it's with DeAndre Swift, that they feel right now is the right time to move, because you have to move along with the opportunities too. So right now, as much as I want to say, I don't think they should get rid of those two players, be entertaining those two players for additional players or trades or anything like that. They may feel that the time is right based on some other business intelligence and things that they have, that they're making a much more sound decision on than what someone like myself would, that's sitting here looking at it from more emotion. And all I've seen is output with those two players.
Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, stress, and I think we all know that Jared Goff's our starting quarterback. But they also stress the idea of getting a reliable backup, because as the Lions try to win the NFC North or make a playoff push, the last thing you want to happen, Jared Goff goes down for a couple games, and you're kind of screwed. So do you think it's a smart idea to go into free agency and sign a reliable backup? Not a no-name, but somebody like a Teddy Bridgewater, who has had some starting time out there, or a Andy Dalton or a Cooper Rush, somebody that's been in that position. So if there's an injury, they come in and finish the game, or have to play a game or two.
I absolutely believe you need a ready-to-go quarterback in the backup position. And that means you have to have someone who either is ready because they played in the NFL. You mentioned Andy Dalton. You mentioned going to get a Teddy Bridgewater or players like that. Yeah, if you can find someone that's not at the necessarily end of their rope, but they have that game management experience that can give you some time in the event your starting quarterback goes down, I would absolutely go and make that move. If you feel that you have enough capability, backup quarterback that you have now, that you could potentially move down a slot and then draft a quarterback that you can get ready, or go find you one around the league that if you get them and you bring them into the system, they're going to pay off for you later on. The Lions really need to start considering that. I think quarterbacks are typically a 2 to 4 year project to really get them where I would say they got a hold of the NFL. They're really ready to run without the ups and downs and the ebb and flows that you get sometimes with quarterbacks. So I would not be opposed to the Lions making a bold decision there, or as before, and I've stated before, getting a quarterback. And again, I want to make sure too, this isn't a knock against the guys that they already have as backups. They're going to know the system, but are they going to sit here and put their team behind those backup quarterbacks? I don't think right now they're willing to pass it over like we've seen with a Steve Montana to a Steve Young, or to a Brett Favre to a Aaron Rodgers. It's not that type of a system that is set up right now.
Yeah, and you just talked about it, potentially getting a young quarterback to develop. Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell all week talked about they would like to get a young quarterback to develop. It's not saying they're going to go in round one, could be any round. I think it's really important to have a developmental guy out there. Explain to the fans why it's important to have a young developmental guy to sit back and just learn.
Anytime you can find a player that has all the skill sets and has the arm strength, they have the mental capacity to take on the workload mentally that is for an NFL caliber quarterback, you can bring them along at a different type of a pace. And you can also utilize some of your regular season games to let them go in and basically have mistakes, whether it's at an end of a game that's out of, or whether you're putting them in at meaningful times when you have a game under the belt, and it gives them the ability to go in and get their feet wet. Developing quarterbacks in NFL is a strategy. It is one that some teams seem to do very good at it, and it's because they have a development plan of how do you bring along quarterbacks that have to sit wait without them losing confidence in the fact that they're not playing, but they're building confidence and they're building certainty about themselves and their playing ability, because you're working with them at that capacity and you're developing them on that capacity. And you got to start building a history where you can say, hey, when we bring you in, you don't mind sitting, and you don't have the pressure that you would have, coming in and saving a team because you're a young player, like you saw happen with the Carolina Panthers. Not Carolina Panthers, Jacksonville Jaguars. So this is a good golden opportunity for the Lions, given the wealth of talent that they have. I think in terms of a mix of young players and experienced players, and they've done a tremendous job commending them to I commend them on the fact that they've been able to bring a lot of players along, develop a lot of the talent, and I wouldn't fear that with this team and these coaches.
We talked development. How about developing people joining Lions Nation Unite? Because we got something special happening for the NFL Draft. We did it last year, but I think year 2 is going to be a little bit better. Why should the fans show up and join at Lions Nation Unite, subscribe, and join all the social media sites?
But they need to join and subscribe so that they can get insight that we talk about. They get an opportunity to share their opinions where they will be heard and responded. But they also get to hang out and hear me sitting here and talk about what I know. And also, Mike, to sit here and have some debates that they haven't seen you and I have just yet. I know they're coming up. We seem like we're always agreeing, but you know what? Come in, join the conversation, join the community, get some of the swag, get some of the nice little perks that we're going to have available for them. And this year, we're looking to do much more engagement than we did in the previous year, in that we're having some sponsored events and that we're going to have opportunities for them to just have some great giveaways and takeaways from a lot of things that we're having.
Yeah, we're going to have debates. I'm going to get whooped, but it's going to be fun. You're going to watch me get whooped like Skip Bayless does. That's what's going to happen. It is. We got a lot of good stuff coming up on here. Herm, I appreciate you hanging out today. Another episode of Talking Detroit Lions. Thank you for coming on, man.
It's always a pleasure, and appreciate everyone in the community coming out and supporting us. Thanks, Mike.
Adios.